Spoken on the topics faith, family and freedom in Cuba, Belgium, Brazil, Congo, UK and all over the USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior. 2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Story Power TV, Transforming Grace TV, and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome Loren Norris.
If you have ever worked around that person that it seems like it doesn't matter how peaceful things are going, they will find a reason, they will find a way, they will find someone just to create a little friction with. Maybe it's nothing kind of friction. It's just that, did you see that look they gave me? You see, there are some people who so are convinced that they thrive on stress, anxiety, high pressure. Put the heavy work on me, they would say, and I'll succeed even more because I work better under pressure. They have no idea what it does to the rest of the team, and that's what I want to talk about in this episode of Leading Leaders. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and if you've been around those kind of people at all, maybe you've had them on your team, maybe you have been the person on the team, maybe you've been responsible for leading the team, and you run into this challenge where these people, they're part of the team, but they feel like they've got to be the lone ranger or the lone wolf or the lone martyr. Whatever's going right on the team, it's not drawing enough attention to them. Success isn't alone enough. It's got to be success with overcome, which means I've got to create overwhelm in order to be overcome. I've got to be able to find some kind of fault, some drama, some problem, some stress, some cataclysmic event that would have happened had it not been for me. See, there's a couple of different operations going on in the mind of someone like this, and I know because I've operated in it in a season in my life. It's the hero complex. I've always got to be the one to save the day, whatever that looks like. However I do it. Is it to discover a process that someone has overlooked? Is it to find a problem someone else has created? Is it to recognize a potential event? The sky is falling, Chicken Little, and find some solution to a fictitious event. Do I build my own paper tigers and go after them with flamethrowers? Yeah, these are consistent problems with a mindset like that, and usually it's insecurity. Usually it's insecurity. It's that deep abiding fear that all on their own they're not enough to show up, to do their job, to do it well. That's not good enough. I've got to have the accolades. I've got to have a pat on the back. I've got to be told from time to time, I'm really good at what I do. I'm super impressive at what I do. And that's not always the case. But most of the time when you find someone in your environment who likes to create drama where there was no drama before, where they manufacture stress or exacerbate the stress and anxiety that's already there, there's usually a deep abiding cause in the nature of them. And that deep abiding cause almost always points to insecurity. Now the question is, as a leader, how do you manage that? I shared a video on social media over the weekend. It was one of those Zoom call reviews where everybody was kind of doing the team thing, and it seemed as if the manager maybe was just going through one person after another, and one would log on and the other would log off. And so when this person logged on, the manager said, well, it seems like in XYZ year, you were employee of the year, you had all these accomplishments, you were doing really great, et cetera, et cetera. And then the next year, not so much. And now here we are 2 years out of your employee of the year. And and you're just barely above average. How is that possible? The employee replied and said, well, the year that I got Employee of the Year, the next year I asked for a raise, and I was told that I was in the highest earning power that I was going to receive. And I asked where I fell on the pay bracket. They said I was below average. And I asked where I could be in the pay bracket compared to other people in the industry. And they said, again, below average. And I thought to myself, if I'm performing above average enough to achieve the Employee of the Year award, why am I getting paid below average? Not just below average in the company, but below average in my time and grade and below average in my industry across the nation. So what gives? And I decided if I'm going to continue to get paid below average, then I might as well be a below average employee. I see good leaders, let me say great leaders. Great leaders understand that there is a drive within every human, and everyone on your team is driven just a little bit differently. It's like when you're making a steak and you use one kind of seasoning versus a different kind of seasoning. Well, yeah, it's a steak. Well, yeah, they're employees, but not all steaks are great if they're just seared. If you put a whole lot of herbs and spices on a filet mignon and you pop it in the butter and you sear that one side and you flip it over and sear the other and you leave it almost pink in the middle, for some people that is a perfectly cooked steak. For others, if there's any pink at all, no, that's not right. And to add any kind of seasoning to a good steak, well, that's just crazy. Obviously, you didn't cook it well if you have to add any ketchup or Heinz 57 or A1 steak sauce. That's insane. Don't do that to a steak. But see, those minutia differences in how you flavor your steak or your hot dog or your hamburger. There are a lot of places you go, they put mustard, mayonnaise, and ketchup on your burger before it even gets to the table. Well, my wife only wants ketchup on hers. And often we will say, with nothing on it, meaning not all of those condiments, and they bring out 2 pieces of bread and a piece of meat. Like, what happened to the cheese and the bacon, the mushroom, and the Swiss that she ordered? Well, she said nothing on it. Well, that's kind of silly then, isn't it? But see, these are the little nuances. The expectations of the manager is to, well, see those things, to know those things, to recognize those nuances in an individual. Do they have a little bit of insecurity? Do they need an extra pat on the back? Do they need someone to notice them to continue to perform? Let me ask this. If they do insist on drama, bringing drama into the workplace, maybe it's a little drama that they carried with them from home, like the extra luggage, or maybe it's a little relationship drama from somebody that they have in the workplace, or maybe it's a little drama that they're creating with the customers and the competitors. But see, if they thrive on this drama, if they have to bring it into the workplace, if they have to change the environment of the workplace to find the drama that puts them under pressure, because they work better under pressure, if they have to manufacture stress and anxiety in order to perform, maybe they need a coach. Maybe they need somebody that helps to raise their awareness of their own self-disciplines, their own mindset, their own likes and dislikes that are really impacting the job. Because here's what we all know to be true. If you've ever worked on a team with someone who is just driven by drama, that drama never stays in their cubicle. It doesn't. It's like, was it Linus from the Peanuts cartoons that always carried around the dirty blanket and the little cloud of dust and dirt just followed him everywhere? Like everywhere he went, it was contagious. See, I believe drama is one of those attitudes. And attitude is the only thing more contagious than the common cold. If you have a drama-driven attitude, then everything is against you. Usually a little bit of victimhood in there. There's usually a little bit of mix of self-doubt in there, a little bit of stress in there, a little bit of anxiety in there, a little bit of I need more pressure to perform better. And while they're thoroughly convinced that they perform better under pressure, when you put them under pressure, they crack. Or when they do succeed, everybody in the world is going to hear about it 10 times over. And ironically, it may be the kind of job that the average person or the good employee will take on all in a day's work, maybe a couple of days' work. I know this because it was just before I joined the Air Force that I worked at a grocery store. Safeway was still common in the Austin area at the time, and I worked at a Safeway store. And I had a guy who was my boss. He was the grocery manager, so he was over in the entire grocery department, and sometimes he would fill in as the store manager. And I remember one time he asked me to build an end cap. They had a product that was going on sale just for a 5-day sale. He wanted me to take down everything that was there and build this end cap. I believe it was green beans or something like that. It was like all of the Libby's vegetables, so green beans and corn, whatever. And he says to me, I want you to build an end cap. Here's what it's going to look like. Shows me a diagram with a piece of paper with, one vegetable here and one in the middle and one on the side, so that as you walk around the end of the shelf, that's what you see. And I said, got it. Good. All right. And so I first started with a cart to get everything that was already on that end cap out of there, put it in the back, get it out of the way, and then start bringing out the other. I was probably 3 hours into this project. I had moved all of the veggies that were there or whatever was already on that display. I mopped the space. I got the razor out and scraped up all the stuff that was on the floor underneath it. I made that part of the floor look so cool. I had my wet cones up so that nobody would walk through it. I was just about to go back with a dolly to get the veggies when the boss came back from lunch. And he walked by that end cap and he saw the wet cones up, and then he came to me and he's like, what are you doing? I thought you'd be done with this by now. I've got more for you to do. I said, well, I pulled those crates up and some of them were actually stuck to the floor and it looked like somebody had maybe mopped and the water went underneath it. And he's like, I don't care. We're going to strip all the floors in a week or two anyway. We'll put a new shelf there and we'll fix it. It's not that big a deal. Besides, once you put all the boxes down, it'll all be covered up and nobody will know it. So no one cares about it. I don't care about it. The customers don't care about it. Libby doesn't care about it. Why do you care about it? And then he said a phrase to me that I probably will never forget it. He said, I gave you a task and you turned it into a project. I gave you a task and you turned it into a project. You may have heard the phrase, making mountains out of molehills. The idea of taking something so small that nobody else cares about it and blowing it up into this big thing, well, that is a common trait of drama manufacturers. Drama manufacturers who bring stress into your environment, who cause anxiety for everybody else on the team because they believe they operate best under stress. So let me create some. I operate well under pressure. Let me make some up. It's usually not true that we operate better under pressure. It's usually true that we operate best where we're comfortable. And the mindset that says, I need pressure to perform at my highest, it's a dangerous mindset. It's unhealthy. It can lead to high blood pressure and heart attacks. It has genuine medical, biological, physical harm attached to operating constantly in stress, to never finding your peace, to never finding the calm, still water. See, a manager, a leader's got to be willing to recognize these things in the team. They've also got to be willing to recognize them in themselves. They've got to be willing to say, hang on, why am I creating so much stress around this? Could I have done this in a more simplified way? Could I find somebody that when I hand this task assignment off to, it remains a task. It doesn't become a project. It didn't require clearing all that space and putting up the cones and scrubbing the floor. None of that was necessary. This job should have been as complicated as one dolly to the back of the room with what's on the shelf and one dolly back to the front of the room with the stuff that goes on the shelf. That's it. It should have been done. Should have been done while he's gone on a lunch hour. That would have been a greater accolade for my feel-goodness, my resume, even my reputation within the organization. If he had gone to lunch and come back and found that display done, he'd have been like, now that's what I'm looking for. But I've got this sense in me in my 20s, and it trickled into 30s and 40s, that I've got to be much more grandiose than that. I've got to hold on, world, stop right where you're at and watch me succeed. Now, I'm challenging you as a leader, as a team member. If that's in you, become aware of it. Be busy about getting rid of it. It's an insecurity. It's waiting to finish the task that you've assigned and look around and see who said, "Good job, you're so impressive." If that's what you're living for, you're going to be sadly mistaken in this world. And if as a leader you have people on your team who they kind of teeter on that, they lean that direction of, I'm not really satisfied with my job until I know that everybody is satisfied with my job. Everybody's impressed with my job. When I know that, when the whole world has stopped and said, "Oh, yes," it's like the Red Lobster birthday party thing. When the whole world stops, no other table gets service. Your tea needs refilled? Too bad. You need your receipt so you can leave? Too bad. You need fresh salad? Too bad. We sat for 12 minutes last night, by the way, without a knife and fork. Cold food on the table getting cold because the person who seated us, nor our server, nor the person who thought they were going to be our server, none of them brought us silverware. They brought us drinks and they brought us food before they brought us silverware. But meanwhile, on the other side of the room, they had 3 birthday parties and all the world stopped. All the busboys, all the servers, everybody stopped to go and sing happy birthday at these tables. The world stopped for the drama at the table. And nobody else was served. See, I had that tendency for a long time. I want everybody to stop what they're doing and look at me. Now, if you're the leader and you have that attitude, you need to fix that yesterday. If you're on the team and you have that attitude and you recognize it in yourself, the sooner you fix it, the faster your promotion's coming. I know that sounds ironic, but I promise you, there are a lot of people who feel like I've got to have an I love me wall of all the accolades. I have friends who get awards for various things on a regular basis. They keep them in drawers. They keep them in cabinets. In fact, my President's Lifetime Achievement Award, I'm proud of that award. It's in my closet at home. Why? Because I've learned that I'm grateful for those things, but I don't live for those things. If you've got people on your team who live for the drama, they live for the stress, they live for the anxiety, chances are they've got a little bit of a hero complex in them. They've got a little bit of a martyr complex in them. They need the accolades. They need the world to stop and recognize them. Now, what do you do about that when you're the great leader who's got to deal with that on your team? It's actually simpler than you think. If you can build that kind of relationship with them, where your appreciation, your expression of gratitude, your personal accolades, your noticing gets to them personally, all the fanfare need begins to subside. They don't need the whole world to notice if you're the leader and you notice. See, the challenge for most people, especially those of us who lived with that complex, is we want the most important people to notice. We want the world to know that we've accomplished, that we've done, that we've finished, that, look, I did it and it's awesome. But trust me, you're not going to get that from your kids. You're unlikely to get that from your siblings. And in a work environment, your teammates are much more like your children or your siblings than anybody else. You might get it from your parents, and some parents go overboard in that. But if you as a leader can serve that almost parents' appreciation kind of a role to step in and go, you know, we don't need to tell the whole world about it, but you did a phenomenal job on that. That was incredible. I love the way you handled that sale. I love the way you negotiated with that new vendor. I love the way you pulled together this event. That was off the charts. I love this new project you're working on. I can't wait to read the white paper you're working on. This is going to be some incredible stuff. Sometimes, let me go a little further. Most of the time, I can't guarantee all of the time, but most of the time, when the leader steps out of their lofty abode in the corner office or the White Tower or wherever it is, steps down from their white horse and speaks to the team member and says, "That was awesome. I am so impressed with you and what you've accomplished." Sometimes those words alone are enough. Especially when you have somebody on your team who likes to take a task and make it a project, because the project is about their own awareness. They want the awards, they want the accolades, they want the whole world to notice. Ta-da! Look what I did. If you're the leader who has the compassion, the conscience, the integrity, the respect of your team, if people on your team look at you and they think, one day I want to accomplish what they've accomplished, I want to be like that, then you also have the power of the public display of appreciation. And sometimes just to walk by and give a handshake, an attaboy, a knuckles, a high five, a little Starbucks gift card. Simple, simple gestures that simply say, I see you. I see what you did there. That was good work. That was impressive. That's all you. Sometimes that's all it takes as a leader to stop all of the residual drama, all of the unnecessary manufactured stress, all of the Linus little dust clouds of attitude that are roaming through your organization and tearing things apart from the inside. Because trust me, when you have more than one drama-driven, accolade-needing, attention-starved, insecure person on your team, they will rip each other to shreds like wet cats with manufactured, unnecessary, unquenchable drama, stress, and anxiety, trying to claw their way to the top. They will be the one crab in the barrel, not satisfied to be pulled back down. They will keep fighting. If you as a leader can thwart that, stop that, avert that, direct that in another way, put those energies where they go by simply saying, I see you. Good job. That was incredible. And trust me, it works from Pee-wee football all the way to the C-level suites. When the person at the highest level of recognition, when the person at the highest level of accomplishment looks back at the rest of the team and says, well done. Especially if it's one-on-one, especially if it seems personalized and individual because you care about that one person. Those kind of actions can minimize the drama, the attitude, the discord, the disharmony, the competitiveness, the sibling rivalry that is common among employees who are living with a little bit of insecurity. You can fix that, if you will. Now, I'll tell you who won't fix it, who can't fix it, who never would in a million years fix it. The person who's reached that level of leadership, and that's still in them. Yeah, the leader who's reached that level of leadership where 20, 30, 50 people rely on them to give them good direction and good accomplishment accolades. And that leader is so insecure that they will not just never say to you, great job. They'll say to you, if I had to do this project, I would have done like blah, 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 because they can't give up the space of having been the best, being the recognized or being the awarded. If you're that kind of leader, get a coach yesterday. Get somebody in your life who's going to tell you the things that you don't want to hear because they're going to change your life and the life of the people you lead. Get somebody in your life who's going to answer the hard questions or ask you the harder ones and make you answer them. You need to raise your level of awareness. If you're an insecure leader, you're a time bomb. You're waiting to blow up your own organization. Get some help. Get a coach. Get somebody who can box your ears, so to speak. But if you're a leader who's got a good stable balance and you've got a team of people and a couple of drama people in there, start working with your drama people to appreciate what they're doing individually so they know that they matter without creating a scene. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Loren is a master master teacher on storytelling, and I learned so much. I'm really going to have to sit down and go back through everything, and I think I might have to have some more coffees with Loren, but it was totally worth my time, and I really highly recommend it if you're looking to grow your ministry, grow your business, grow your career. Loren will serve you well.